1st of January 2023. This Skidmark is once again one of those talks things that I do. I decided last week that I'm going to share some of my life experiences, because there are guys that could find value in it. And the thing that I want to talk about today is bankruptcy. Now, for every person that has got his own business, bankruptcy is a thing that is always in the back of his mind. And now, with the economy being what it is, and things are really tough, there are many guys and girls with businesses that are facing bankruptcy. Now, bankruptcy means different things in different countries in the West. In South Africa, bankruptcy is seen in a very negative light. And you that go bankrupt are basically viewed as a criminal, an outcast of society. It's a blemish, it's a shame. And in the meantime, many bankruptcies in small businesses are simply due to the business having an economic heart attack. And how can you now paint the owner of that business with that dirty brush? But that's the reality of South Africa. In other countries, bankruptcy is viewed differently. In 1989, my business went bankrupt. And this December 89 was hell. Me and my brother were together in a mining and industrial supplying conglomerate, and we had a huge business. For those years, it was huge. You're talking a monthly turnover of 2 million rand. And if you take that in 1989 and just extrapolate that 2 million with inflation, you will come to a scary number today. The reality is that the sanctions against South Africa hammered us. And within a matter of about 3 weeks, 26 mines closed down. Now that was a hell of a problem, because that represented about 80% of our client base. Another problem is that, as most small businesses that are self-financed, we overtraded, in the sense that the banks always warned us, our bank manager warned us about this overtrading, and we made a joke out of it. But when the shit hit the fan, I realized what it is. The reality is that when you lose that client base, you don't lose the personnel in your shop, you don't lose the vehicles and the leases and things that goes along with that. And all of a sudden, it is a tsunami of debt. But, long story short, we volunteered insolvency on the business, and things were in the hands of the insolvency practitioners. But then there was a group of people that were not very comfortable with our abilities, and they decided that we needed to be removed out of the market permanently, and they unleashed hell on us. And the big problem was sureties that me and my brother signed for some of the debt. One of those sureties, and if you take it in today's value, it sounds ridiculous, but it was for 135,000 rand. For 135,000 rand, me and my brother's lives were destroyed. The insolvency practitioner that was appointed in my estate was the bride of Satan. She walked into our house, they tipped the contents of the deep freezers out on the floor and removed the deep freezers. They took the beds, they took everything out of the house. And although me and my wife had an antenuptial contract, when I gave her the contract, she looked at the contract and she threw it in the dustbin and said, "That means nothing to me," which meant that she took my wife's assets as well. It was a hell of a story. I mean, it's documented in the court records. I took that insolvency practitioner to court 17 times in my personal capacity. And I lost one case. One case was thrown out, which I think was unfair at that point, but let's leave it there. But the other 15, I won. And it was a horrific fight. My family went through hell. And that practitioner, I can still remember it like it was yesterday. She stood in front of me and she pointed her finger and tapped me on my chest and said, "I will destroy you." And I looked her in the eyes and I said to her, "You know what? You've got a problem. You can't destroy what's in here. So, do as you wish." In the end, we took the case to the appellate division in Bloemfontein, again in person. I did all our work myself. And a very good friend of mine, which is a judge, said to me, "You must just understand, you're not going to win this case, because if you win, it's going to be a massive upset in the economic environment in South Africa. So, don't expect a win, but at least go down with guns blazing." And that's what we did. After the case was done and everything was out, the Insolvency Act was changed. There were certain changes made into the Act. But that didn't help us, but it's good for the guys now. The reality is that for you as a small business owner, the one thing that I learned out of that insolvency is that the first thing that you must focus on is you must adapt your lifestyle to your income. Don't try and push your income to meet your lifestyle. If you do that, you are forever under stress. And you must make sure that you evaluate that requirement regularly, not monthly. Basically daily you must watch your bank account. That is very important. The second thing is you must be careful with debt, because debt is the thing that takes most businesses down. And if you are in debt, you cannot really weather a downturn because you're living on the edge. And if you have bought a very expensive car or a very expensive property and you just barely made the payments, just remember this: if you're 2 payments in arrears, on the third one the bank's going to repossess in any case. But the practical reality is, if it was a payment that were close to your limit, if you're 2 months in arrears, the chances that you're ever going to catch up is almost zero. So be careful with debt, because that is the death blow. Debt. So after 1989, I restructured my life and I made a comeback and I did my thing. And the second time around, I had the wisdom and experience of that bankruptcy, and I structured my estate much differently. And so in 2008, a crowd tried to do a hostile takeover on one of my businesses, and there was a provisional order made against the business with a trustee and all. But this time I was better prepared and things were contained. But once again, a bloody Satan of a trustee. We obviously fought the order, but while the court case was going on, this fucking trustee was in charge. And he stole a lot of money out of our business, out of my business. At that stage I was on my own. He stole a lot of money out of my business. I got some of it back after the declaration was set aside, but that was the thing. And then in 2012, again, a hostile thing, but that was a wipeout blow. Again, well-structured estate, protected my estate and my wife and so forth, but my personal capacity and revenue was gone, missing, no more. And I had to start literally from scratch. That was the third time. But at that stage, I was in the fortunate situation. I had no debt, only a bond on my farm. And when I started my second life, I made sure that as quick as possible I have 3 months overheads in a savings account and away from my business operations. And when the shit hit me in 2012, that savings came in handy. And needless to say, and I'm not going to go into the details, I came out of that and I made it by the skin of my nose, but I came back and that was the story. And today I want to tell these young guys with their own businesses, you must be very careful of debt. Don't look, it looks so enticing when the bank offers you an overdraft. It looks so important when the bank sends you credit cards. Don't do it, because that is like a dead anchor on your lifeboat. Wait out. Don't do it. Once again, adjust your lifestyle to fit in with your revenue potential. Don't set a lifestyle and then try to force your business to meet your lifestyle, because that is a serious mistake. And it may look nice to have a new car, but think about it. How much money will that car bring into your business? And if the answer is 0, then you skip it. Don't do it. Those are things I personally believe that the biggest problem for youngsters in their own business, the greatest traps are cars, and then credit cards, and then bonds. Some of these young guys, they go and they buy themselves those massive mansions in some estate, and to them they feel important. They like for other people to think they're important. Do not let the fact that the bank is willing to give you a 2 million or 3 million rand bond, don't let that guide you when you go and buy your property. Buy something that you can afford. When it comes to vehicles, in my second life, I simply did not buy a vehicle on longer than 36 months term. Sometimes with a stretch, I would push it to 48, but that's the end of the story. 48, that's the limit. You go over 48 months on a vehicle, you are paying an obscene amount of interest, and the monthly installment drops just a little bit. And then maybe that drop is enough to get into your budget, but then you must go and look at the difference. Take the 48 months payments and just multiply that monthly payment by 48, and then you take the 72 months thing and multiply those payments by 72 months, and you will freak out, because most probably on 72 months you're going to pay almost double what you're paying on 48. So be careful with that. Those are the things. And then another thing that you must be careful of if you're a business owner is if that business starts struggling. Of course you are going to be tense, but try not to take that tenseness and frustration home and make your family pay. They did not engineer your downfall. They're actually there to support you. All you can do is tell them that things are tough and that you need a little bit of cuddling. And that's it. But unfortunately, when finances get tough, relationships are blown to pieces because accusations are thrown around and all sorts of absolutely senseless things. In the end, you need your family and they need you. So keep that in mind. But bankruptcy is a reality, and it is something that can jump you very quickly. In my case, I was unfortunate. The first one was economic heart attack because of the sanction stories, but the second one and the third one was malicious things. But I learned a lot of lessons from the first one. So make sure when you set up your small business that that small business can support your lifestyle, and don't try and force the business to meet the demands of your lifestyle. You live within the limits of your business. And that is a lot of negativity for today, but I just thought I'll share this because I see youngsters, they are struggling. And I see the frustrations, and I see the anger, and I see lots of them now destroying their relationships and things because they are under financial pressure. Don't do that. No amount of money can ever pay or reward you for a broken relationship, for a divorce from your wife, from loss of contact with your children. Money cannot repair those things. And if money can change those things, you need to be very, very alert, because that makes me suspicious. And that is me. But have a great day, and obviously it's New Year's Day. You guys are gonna braai, have a dop, but don't drink and drive. And if your friend is visiting you and he gets drunk, don't let him drive. Have a nice day. Thank you.